MB Moose Lover here. I apologize for all the you knows. I'm a Canadian, but I don't say a. I say you know too much.
Okay, hello, this is MB Moose Lover, and I've got a bunch of videos I'm going to be uploading here shortly. And I basically, this here is Coffee Mate, and I use it in my coffee. I've used it for years. I don't drink perk coffee. I basically drink instant coffee. I like Encore, which is actually made by the same company as Nestle as this is, and this is Coffee Mate. You can call it coffee whitener, or it's. But basically, I contacted the company, just asked them if it was all right for me to show the name, and I'm not, really advertising Coffee Mate. That's not really the reason for my because I've got no affiliation with the company at all, and not receiving any anything for this. This is just I actually got this idea that I wanted to, because I was in the poultry industry for years, commercial poultry, and I basically raised poultry for over 40 years, from day-old chicks to adult, and at that time, my wife and both of us worked there for that long, and now I'm retired, and so wife's got some problems. She's you know disability. So basically, we weren't allowed to feed birds, when we were raising poultry. It was a company policy, biosecurity for, especially nowadays with bird flu, and so we couldn't have bird feeders at home and chickens, and I mean, there are always birds around, and I got a little building here, and the flycatchers every year make nests under the eaves, but they weren't really, too much of a danger that way. And but anyway, kind of, wife always loved feeding birds. She wanted to feed birds. I mean, her mother has bird feeders, and she always loved the idea of it. And but we just never did. So anyway, I got this idea about maybe putting up a feeder, and I thought, well, I'll go buy a feeder, and then I thought, well, why don't I just make one? And there's tons of videos on YouTube, with ideas for making bird feeders, and I just come up with the idea of these tubs here because they're that's what the whole video is about. It's about these tubs. I always buy the big ones because it's more economical, and I go through quite a bit of Coffee Mate. I mean, when I'm out in the woods in the fall, if I'm out staying in a tent, which I did last fall, and filming some moose, and I got my food with me and keep it in a great big toolbox, locked and chained to keep the bears out of it. But I mean, Coffee Mate's great because I don't have to worry about refrigeration of cream, and I don't like cream in coffee anyway because it cools it down. You get hot coffee and you're cooling it, so to me it's convenient. It's good, it's great, and but the tubs, I ended up with all kinds of these tubs. I had my little outside building full of these tubs, full of nails and screws, and they're great because you can get your hand in them. But they're really a tough tub. The bottom is really sturdy, and they're great for so many things. I mean, you put a lot of big things in them, so yeah, and so I got thinking, well, if I'm gonna make a bird feeder, maybe I can make it out of this. I mean, it's got a good cover, and it's sturdy, and so that's what I was doing for the last month or two. I've been building bird feeders, and it was a lot of fun, so I'm going to be showing the videos here. I'm looking at them right now, and so basically, I'm going to put them on in the order, like everything how it went about. So, but it's just a good recycling thing. That's what my thing is. I mean, it's a good way to recycle. I mean, I've seen people make them out of all kinds of containers and pop bottles, and there was a guy that was made baffles to keep a squirrel off of your feeder on a cable, and he used 2-liter pop bottles that he just drilled holes in each end, and I did the same thing for this. I've got a baffle to keep the squirrels off, and I'm still battling with him, and it works, but I got to keep working out the kinks because he's clever, he's quick, but and I'm using the tubs for the baffles as well, and if nothing else, it's a lot of fun. But anyway, the thing is I was thinking, well, how am I going to make these? And people make bird feeders out of. They make little houses. A lot of people just use containers and then just have some little way for the bird feed to feed out at the bottom, and that's basically what I did. So I'm not going to explain it here because I've got videos showing exactly how I did it. But the thing is, it worked out that I basically made them out of wooden dowels, and I'll give that much away. But I also didn't use any nail screws or glue. So that's the out of wooden dowels. So that's the thing that I really loved about it. That I actually started out that I was going to have to use screws. I thought in a couple of places, but I didn't. I actually used cable ties. So that's basically what I built them out of, it was, and I kept kind of going further with it, and I made a feeder, and then I made another feeder, and then I kind of integrated them together, and put them on a cable, and so it turned out pretty good. So right now I've got some birds that showed up, and I basically, one thing I didn't really think about with bird feeders is the food getting wet, and my bird feeders don't have any covers over them. So then I had to actually come up with an idea, because it rained here the last week, just horrendous rain, brought the rivers up way high, and flooding. So I ended up having to clean my feeders out and all the wet food, and that was and then I went online and kind of looked into that, and it's a real problem with rain and wet food because it can mold. And I thought, my God, what did I get myself into? Because you got to clean it out, and then it's just a mess. So now I'm working on that, and I basically am going to put a roof over them, and I'm basically going to have the roof so I can just basically cover them up. Most of the time I'm going to have them covered up. Like at night I'm going to cover them up. I'm going to cover them up if there's a threat of rain, any cloudy days. I'm going to cover them up so the birds won't get the food, but they'll get it on the good days. They'll get it when it's nice out, and I get up in the morning. I'm retired, so I get up in the morning and I uncover them, and then basically they can have it, and then I'm going to have the cover so I can just put it back on. And anytime I really think there's a problem, that way the food will not get wet at all. So that's basically what my plan is. And then I don't think I'll feed them all summer. I think I'll just, you got to think about the bird flu thing a little bit. I guess the studies are that like songbirds and wild birds don't, there's not very many cases of them getting it because it's waterfowl. But it's a thing. Cleaning feeders is a thing where you're supposed to clean them, and mine are going to be complicated that way because they're not just a standard. They're not just a tub. There's a lot more to them. The dowels and they're quite elaborate. So I have to make sure that I'm not going to put very much food in it at a time. Even though they hold a lot of food, I won't be filling them at all. I'll only be putting small amounts so that they will clean it up, and then I may have to go back like with the garden hose and spray them off. I may have to spray them with something to kind of clean them a little bit, and then where it's wood I'll have to spray it, and then basically I don't know, different things you can use, and then rinse them off, and then give them a day to dry before I put the food back in, type of thing. But the big thing is to combat that. I think I'm just going to feed them in the winter as much as I can, and not feed them in the summer, because in winter you don't have to worry as much about the moisture. It's snow, but if I have a roof over them and take the roof off on the good days, and it's cold, so you don't have as much of a problem, especially if you're not getting the food wet anyway. You don't have as much of a problem with the transference of disease, and when it's cold out. So when it's really cold in the winter, there's not as much chance of birds getting sick from the other birds. I mean, somewhat. I mean, if they're, you know, actually contacting each other. But anyway, it's hard to clean them in the winter too, because you go to wash them and it's going to freeze. So it's not a simple thing, but anyway, it's just something I was doing for a little fun. So we'll see how I go with it, but anyway, I guess that was pretty well it. I just the rest of the videos will explain all the rest of it, I basically bought a tarp to put over the feeders, just a 6x8, and had it on them last night there. But I'm going to actually make a framework out of poles again, out of dowels or poles, because I was using poles that I cut. I wasn't using boughten dowels, and maple poles. So like 1 and 2 inch diameter. So I'm just going to make a couple of long 8-foot ones, and then make some other ones to put on the ends in a triangle pattern. So basically it's a little teepee that I'm going to have that basically goes over my feeders, and then that gives us 6 feet wide, so it gives 3 feet on each side this way, and then and I can basically slide it up, like, because my feeders are on a cable, so I can just slide the cover up the cable and then leave it at the other end, and at night just slide it back down and put it over them, so they will not get wet, and we'll see how that works out. And then I just wanted to get a few videos of some birds here for my channel and see what I would get. And I got lots of woodpeckers around, but I don't know if they'll come to the feeders or not. But just a hobby, something to do. So anyway, yeah, I think I've covered everything, and just want to thank the company there for answer my email, and I just didn't want to get a copyright strike for using a name. I know that people are using the name all over videos anyway, brand names, but like I said, it's not an endorsement. I don't have any. I'm not getting free coffee mate. It's just it's a thing to do with recycling. That's what it is. It's good to recycle things when you can, and this is a good thing to recycle. There's no reason to throw those out, because they're really useful to put stuff in. And yeah, so I think I've covered it all, and this is the first video that I'll be uploading, because it kind of starts right from the beginning. And then yeah, had some deer underneath the feeder here the other day. They were actually got some video of them, and coming looking for a handout, I think, to smell the bird seed. And yeah, I got my trail cameras out for moose. I've got a couple of trail cameras out, pretty good spots. I think I'm hoping maybe I might get some. I gotta go check those out here this week and see if I got any videos, and really looking forward to that, to get out in the summer and see what I can get. So yeah, these videos here, I get rambling. A lot of makes them awful long, but it's just I don't care too much about the length. If whatever I want to put in them, I just pretty well have to put it, because I can't just abbreviate a lot of stuff. So I basically explain how I made I got 2 videos where I show how I put the feeders together, and it didn't turn out too bad. So I'm anxious to get it on there. I got a pile of crap on my computer to get uploaded, and I love editing, but this one's really been. I've got video of the squirrel trying to maneuver my baffles, and he beat it a few times, and he didn't a few times. So he was just on it a minute ago there. He's learned to go quick. That's how he's become speedier. Now he's super squirrel, and yeah, it's like you're running the obstacle course. You go quick, and so we'll have to keep seeing if we can beat him. I had a gray squirrel, and I had a video where he actually, the baffle flipped him. He didn't make it, and I lost the video because I had a SD card that actually ended up it won't work. It got corrupted, and I think I did it because I was assigning a letter to the end of the code for the videos, because I had doubles and I was putting codes for the same number of videos, and it screwed my SD card up. So I lost that video of the gray taking a dive and off of the rollers and the baffles. And but I got the red. I got him a lot, 2 or 3 times that he took a little trip off of it, and it's really funny watching him. But and the gray basically figured it out that it could go way high up in the tree and then jump all the way to the cable. And that's what the red, he's right there now. That's what he's trying to do. He's thinking he can jump across from the tree just the same as the gray did. The gray got way up in this tree and made a big dive and landed on my suet that was there. But I mean, I'm not trying to do this to torture squirrels. This is just, I don't like to see them on feeder because they scare the birds away, and they'll, the birds kick enough feed out themselves out of these feeders that on the ground that fussy looking for the right seeds, and the squirrel he get in there and just make more mess and stuff. So but I'm going to give him a suet here anyway. I'll give him one here after. I just trying to test the thing to see if it works, and then the baffles, and then I'm going to give him a suet over on another tree away, and hopefully he'll go to it and just leave the rest of the feeders alone. I just want to try to keep them apart a little bit. I think that's pretty well it. So if you get a chance, check out the videos, and if you're a bird lover and you want to try to make a bird feeder like it, I mean it's not for everybody to tackle it, but I mean it's different. That was the thing I liked about it, that it basically there's no bird feeder I've seen that was made the same way. I mean it might exist, but I looked, I couldn't find any that were made out of dowel the same way that I come up with the idea to do it. And, not trying to brag or anything, but yay me. It's nice when you can think of something. I love thinking of something and then basically say, okay, I can do this. Well, now I can do this, and then I can do this, and then go that way. And then it's nice to create. It really is nice to create things. And just like creating videos, I love putting videos together and putting audio with them. A lot of people don't like music, but videos I do. It's just if it fits, it fits. And sometimes that you have a lot of stuff in your videos. You have noises, you have vehicles. You may be in a vehicle and the vehicle's running, and then you don't have a chance to you're making noise, and the wind's blowing. There's different things, camera noise. I have a lot of problem with camera noise, when I'm working the camera, with just moving it around. And a lot of times I use external microphone. Don't know whether to use it or not, and it ends up being a lot of background noise. Sometimes music fits, but sometimes it's nice to have the natural sound. But anyway, I just love editing. I really do. It's just sometimes things just come together right. It just works out, and I'm really pleased with the results. So it's a great. I can understand how movie producers and actually can see something that basically an idea, and then see it actually realized. I was watching The Lord of the Rings documentaries of making The Lord of the Rings, and it's just so amazing to think that they for 15 months they worked on that, and the editing and the work that went into the CG for it and everything is just unbelievable. I can't imagine what it's like to be able to watch that after it was a book series, so it wasn't like but they had to rewrite the whole thing, and then to transfer it into video. It's really amazing to see say, wow, we did it. Anyway, that's enough gabbing for me. So later, MB Bush Lover. Okay, MB Bush Lover here once again, and this is the original bird feeder that I made. I made each one separately. Come up with the idea to use the coffee mate tubs and the dowels, and use cable ties. So I made one, I made two, and I made three. And so I decided then to and I put them all in this frame.
I wanted to put some cross pieces and along the top. So I could tie them all together. So it was one on each side at the top, and then one each side at the bottom, and then there were. It ended up with multiple ones. I wanted to put these little boards that I had left over from another project I had. It was a cat cradle. It was a wooden little thing that the cats would just lay in and climb around on, and it had been there for years, and the cats passed away. They lived to be 18 years old, and then they passed away. So the cats I had now, they didn't really play with it. I didn't really want them. I was afraid they're going to chew it and get slivers off it. So I recycled the boards that were on it and some of the dowels. Some of the dowels were on my original ones I started. These ones were dowels that were in the original cat cradle. So, and then I used the ties, of course, to fasten to the tubs. And so this shows the underside of it and how I I use these little metal brackets here, little L brackets. There's 3 of them all the way up there. There's 3 that I use, and that was basically to just to support the these outside ones here. It was just to support those, so I had to use ties and fasten those, and they ended up being pretty sturdy. And, so that was the only metal that was used on it anywhere. So I got to get the thing hung up on the cable, and then maybe we'll look at it a little more. I can show a little bit more. The underside of it, I have to go around and tighten up some of the ties. It's got a little bit of a wobble this way. It's all correct when we get it up on the cable. There's another one, and there's cable with the squirrel baffle on it. So we just got to get it up in the air.
And here she is. This is the finished product. I've got my triple one, and then I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I made 2 extra ones for my sons, so 1 each. So yeah. Turned out pretty good, I think. It was a lot of fun and all that. So, and be moose lover later.